Well, don't worry, I have not forgotten the password to this account, that is for sure. After a couple weeks of a few real-life related things, we're back, we're live, and it's at Imola. With a slight change, it is, if I remember correctly, the Moto layout rather than the regular Grand Prix layout. So, we're in for one heck of a show here. 30 minutes, as per usual, despite being away in the last 2 weeks, nothing's really changed. Kind of take a peek at the layout there, just to the left-hand side of the main logo. Welcome to the Racing Line Network. Welcome to the Advanced Mazda MX-5 Cup Series, the official, quite literally the official series on iRacing with safety rating, iRating on the line, technically bragging rights, I guess, to some extent. We are in store for a very fun event, I feel like. This is a layout that I've not really seen used too often. And I'm very glad that both, oh gosh, I literally looked before, I'm going to look again before I say anything. I'm pretty sure it's Ray and not Roy, but I'm double checking anyway. At least one half of the community managers of the series. It is Ray, okay. Ray and I believe Alex is the second one. So they've done a great job coming up with the schedule, because they've utilized underutilized layouts, I feel like, and that is something that that should be used a little bit more often in some instances, because usually we get, you know, full layouts and we don't really get alternate layouts used too often. So that is something that I very much enjoy. We have 4 minutes left in qualifying, and before we take a look at any laps, I am actually going to see, I just had this before, they did put out the season schedule, I believe, for next season for the Advanced MX-5 Cup Series. Oh boy, that's going to be interesting. So, we have the Watkins Glen boot layout for Week 1, the Alton Park International without the, I don't know what his lap is, I forget what that one is, but it is that layout. The Red Bull Ring, because why not? Phillip Island, which I've never really seen utilized too often. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I get to rescan by then. Same with Circuit de Spa, which is next, the week after Canadian Tire. Hopefully, fingers crossed again, we see that at some point this year with iRacing. But it does take a lot to build a track, so who knows. But after that, it is Brands Hatch with the regular Grand Prix layout, the Road Atlanta Club layout, Mugello, which is a track that I never thought I would see here, and then it is the one track that I can never really pronounce, so it's Motorsport Arena, I think it's Oschersleben. Oschersleben? I think it's Oschersleben. I'm pretty sure that's it. Sadly, I don't have a graphic for this. Should have had one. But with the last 2 weeks, it is the NASCAR road layout of the Daytona course. So that's going to be absolutely chaotic, and I love that they circumvented the expectation of doing the regular IMSA layout, and they just said, you know, let's do the NASCAR layout instead, just for fun. And then, of course, Sebring being the Sebring layout. Well, those are some courses. Let's take a look at the, some drivers are doing qualifying laps, shall we? We're currently running on board with Dimitri Chavrin, with 2 minutes 15 seconds left in this session. A little bit of an impromptu, at least halfway ride around the track to showcase what these drivers have in store. Maybe, possibly next week, I'll have a more in-depth thing utilizing iRacing itself rather than Blender and my GPU. But track layouts maybe, hopefully, should be coming back next week, since I do have an idea that I do want to try out, so we'll see how it goes. Of course, that is through the final chicane here at Imola, and then the long run. I'm going to love this run. This run down to the final 2 corners is going to be very prime for passing opportunities because of the slipstream. These cars, in a good way, are so slow to accelerate that you can actually get a little bit of a slipstream. It might not be much, but it is something. Same goes for going into, I'm not sure we're going to get it, but it goes for going into the absolute chaos that is the upcoming corner right, I don't know, about here. In fact, Dimitri's not even at the start line. The start line is actually after this section. There it is. There's the start line. And Dimitri goes 9th fastest. A lot of times around here, 2 minutes, 13 seconds, so he's not going to have a chance to do a qualifying run, or another qualifying lap, I should say. So, what we're going to do instead is now get to your starting grid while we still have the chance, especially. That is providing the graphic doesn't explode again on session switching. But for the time being, we currently have, with your starting grid, I'm going to wait just a little bit longer, the next 20 seconds. I don't think anybody will be in line to cross the start-finish line in time. No, they will not. So, we have Alejandro Riero is starting off in the first place position, with Ryan Woodrow starting in second. Antonio Amazuka starts off in third. Fourth place is Fernando Cano Savdera. Nope, not getting that correct. Well, we'll get to that when we can. Adam Robinson, very familiar name, starts off in the 5th place position. Nathan Bowden starts off in 6th. 7th place, Matthew, was it Maski? Nope. I can read names, I swear. It's just taking me a bit. I think it's Maskiotra. That's what it is. Xavier Almeida starts off in 8th. Gosh, reading the names blind is a bad idea. Mario Roman Rojo starts off in 9th, and Dimitri Chavrin starts in 10th. And the rest of the 20-car grid will be going down, continuing across 11th and 12th currently on your screen. Hushlov and Cosford. And then the rest of the drivers did not qualify. So we have Rostek and Benson starting off in 13th and 14th. Morandi and Oliveira starting 15th and 16th. Ryben and Principi starts off 17th and 18th. 19th and 20th. Todd Novosad. Todd Novosad? I don't wonder if that's the same Todd Novosad. Might be different Novosad, but we'll see. Starts off in 19th, and then Kevin Feibig starts off 20th, with Michael Harrington rounding out the starting grid. Remember what I said about reading names blind not being a good idea? That was one of them. But the field is currently gridding. We'll get eyes on them momentarily. There they are. What a great shot this actually turns out to be. Right, so we're quite a ways back, but we can see pretty much everybody getting ready. All I have to do is just wait for the light. We have about 6 cars left to grid. In fact, it looks like those 6 cars will not be gridding instead, as the red lights come on. And the green lights replace the reds as we go green flag racing for 30 minutes here. Surprisingly, only 17 cars decided to actually take to the physical grid as they go running right down, getting bump drafted into turn 1 is Oliveira. I don't believe that was Oliveira unless he did get spun off. The drivers making their way down through the opening corners here. Ryan Woodrow. We have a crash in the back with 14 as one of them that is involved. It is Rojo, as well as the 10 car, Mateo Maschiotro. Well, a very fascinating open few laps. I'm very caught off guard, to be honest. That was very unexpected. I'm not sure if Oliveira had... what happened with Oliveira? He was shown to start off in the first place position, but we'll take a look at the opening few laps momentarily, at least. Just going to wait for the drivers to make their way down and complete the first lap as Ryro leads the way. Woodrow in second. Both of them are starting to break away. As we go down to the final, I would say final 2 corners, but actually it's going to be the final 4 corners, if anything. You see Adam Robinson looking in the 4th place position, and then just quite a ways back is 5th, 6th, and 7th here in this shot. And we see the very obvious brake marker boards as we go down into what this is, the final chicane. And then just right across the start-finish line there. So races to the line are going to be very, very intriguing. As Robinson is actually going to be making a pass for 3rd place. Makes his way down into turn number 1, just gets ahead of Emizuko. So Adam Robinson still as consistent as ever in the podium positions. Go ahead and take a look at some of the opening lap incidents that have occurred. This is Ronald Hushloff, who just spun on his own by the looks of it. Let's run this back one more time. But we're not actually able to by the look of it, but just a little bit of a spin, and then it was Rojo getting bumped by the 5, who nearly saved it. And then the 10 had his own issues as well. See if we can get another look at that from a different angle. It's like, oh, he spun twice, actually. The rear tires just absolutely boiling after that when he was trying to get going. Taking a look at the lead cars, Alejandro continues to lead. Woodrow 2nd, 3rd place Robinson, 4th place Emizuka, 5th place is Bowden. And we see, it seems like it's just long enough of a line to maybe get a little bit of slipstream here going down into these next few corners, but a lot of prime opportunities to get some passing done. Hear the rumble strips there as Xavier Almeida. I think it is Almeida actually. He goes over both of the rumble strips. Is sitting directly behind Bowden. In fact, he's going to make a pass here going into the opening corners once again. Takes the line away, but just able to hang on. In fact, Almeida gets scared off just a little bit. Goes off the track. Just holds on to it. I don't know if the car was a little bit unsettled maybe, by the look of it, but that doesn't mean that battle for 5th place is over. These drivers do want to round out a top 5 position, as here comes Saavedra. Both drivers on the rumble strips on their respective sides of the track, and now that's going to lead the way for Cody Cosford to slide his way through, almost quite literally. But he's not going to be able to get to 5th place, but he does move himself up a position regardless, shoving Bowden back down to 7th. Just watching this battle right now, it's not necessarily a battle, at least at the moment, but it is definitely, of course, as always, a brewing battle of some sort, or of sorts. As in fact, we see just behind a little bit, that is Almeida going right through, taking the position away from Nathan Bowden. Wow. Nathan Bowden, I believe is how it's pronounced, not Bowden. Whoops. Names are, as always, confusing today, by the looks of it. Let's see if we can get an onboard here. And just a fantastic pass there. Of course, we're already side by side when that pass was set up, but very self-explanatory in a sense of how that pass was done. Back live as we take a look at Riero. English is hard sometimes. I can't even speak the own language. It is certainly a day, but regardless, Riedro leads as Saavedra has actually lost a position to Cody Cosford as he moves his way up to 5th place. Wisloff in pit lane for some reason or another. Not sure if it's damage related. It potentially could be. Doesn't seem like it whatsoever, so I wonder what the issue is there. As Emazuka is all on his own. Hello, a little bit look to the inside of Cosford by Fernando Cano. But he does make his way. He does defend the position at least from Almeida, at least for the time being. For how long that will be, who knows, because Almeida is right on the back bumper. That is Almeida. Almeida's going to take a peek to the right-hand side, takes the preferred lane away, hits the curves, slides wide just a little bit, crossover. The battle is, at least for now, momentarily over. In fact, it's actually going to allow for Bowden to make a move as they're going to go 3 wide, almost, actually, into the chicane. Here comes Bowden through on the outside of the chicane in the second half as well. He makes his way back up to 7th place. Absolutely fantastic job right there. Of course, all of them did lose time, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't clean. Oh, look at the slide. Bowden is pushing the rear tires off that car. And Saavedra is going to take advantage of this. Down the left-hand side into the preferred lane. Does he overshoot? No, hits the curbs, and he just makes it by. So Saavedra back up to 7th by the end of the lap, and that's when it's going to matter. Let's check back in with Riedro, who is just all on his own. Alejandro has absolutely checked out. His last lap was a 2-minute 10.2. Meanwhile, Ryan Woodrow's last lap was a 2-minute 11.1. Adam Robinson, 2-minute 10.1. So, on paper, he is faster than Riero. I keep saying Riedro for some reason. It's Riero. Apologies for that. Adam Robinson is definitely closing the gap, even if it's ever so slightly, but he definitely has closed to Ryan Woodrow. So we could see Adam Robinson at least up into the 2nd place position. Maybe, if he can get a good enough run by the end of the lap, you see how hard he is on the brakes, able to get much better braking, close the gap there. Is he going to be able to get enough of a run going into the chicane is the main question. In fact, just as we go on board, we heard him and we see him lift off the throttle, and that I don't blame him for that. Because there are many, many better passing opportunities. Even if you pass into the chicane, it still does slow you down. It slows down your exit of the corner. And at that point, if you're going to pass into the chicane, it just does not help. It hurts everybody. You're not going to be able to challenge for the lead, which could be the case for Riero. We have 19 minutes left to find out. see what the last lap time is across the start-finish line for Adam Robinson. 2:10.9. So 0.3 faster that last time around was the leader of Riero. And you can see that 1.8 seconds. It was 1.6 last time by. So it was about 0.2 of a second difference between first and second in terms of lap time. Robinson is definitely doing his best to keep pushing. This is almost the closest battle on track. We do have a battle for 11th place going on here between Masciotra and Morandi for the 11th place position. This is one of the closest battles on track, and in fact, the battle for 9th is in store as well. Shavern and Rosetech. Oh man, that slide off the corner too. Masciotra has gotten by Morandi actually. Sorry, Morandi has gotten by Masciotra, but Mateo's not going to let that sit, I'm sure. He's still within striking distance if he does decide. He's got a lot of slipstream to work with here. And this is effectively the closest battle on the track, despite the one that is just ahead for 9th place is the second closest. Anything else, we don't really have too much else to look at, so this kind of helps a little bit with the field being spread out because everyone gets to shine in their own way. We'll see if Masciotra does decide to make a run for position down into the chicane. Decides against it. He's not close enough, so I'll try for a different opportunity instead. No doubt down the front straightaway into the final chicane. I'm pretty sure I just called that previous chicane that they went through the final chicane. Still getting used to the utilization of this layout, but it is a lot of fun. There's already enough drafting points, so I might as well break it up a little bit. And I'm pretty sure that's what the community managers were thinking when they were creating the season schedule for not only this season, but also next season. Again, the NASCAR road course layout for week 11 at Daytona is going to be amazing. Even then, these cars are still going through the chicane quite quickly. Looks like Masciotra was not able to make a dent in the times just yet. 0.2 of a second slower than Morandi, so Morandi is a little bit faster. We'll catch up with any other battles if we can, such as this one for 4th place with Cody Cosford and Antonio Emazuka. Cosford's actually going to just go right for it on the left-hand side. The door left wide open by Emazuka. Does Emazuka decide to fight back? He does. He peeks to the left-hand side, but he's not going to get the run he needs and decides to back off here. Right side tires in the grass, we heard just a little bit. Let's just ride on board with Emazuka and see what he decides to do here. It's always just fascinating just to sit back and just watch these cars just go around and just listen to what these drivers decide to do. For example, like Emazuka is leading it to the last second to upshift from 3rd to 4th. Someone who's not leaving something to the last second, though, well, actually, he might be. We'll see what he does in the chicane here. Adam Robinson, does he go for 2nd? No, not yet. He's holding off all over the gearbox, though, of Ryan Woodrow, still as they stand. But Robinson and Woodrow have been trading laps pretty much this entire time. 0.2 of a second faster at the start-finish line was Adam Robinson. So he is faster. It's just a matter of the age-old saying of it's one thing to pass somebody, it's one thing to catch somebody, it's another thing to pass them all together. Remember I said earlier about not being able to speak English sometimes, and despite the fact that's my only language. This is one of those times. But I'm not gonna let that I'm not gonna let that stop me from enjoying races. Wow, I'm having definitely a day with my brain. It is a day. Probably why I'm better in the booth rather than being on track, but that's to be debated, so who knows. Regardless, Adam Robinson definitely using his brain to his advantage, that is for sure. Just holding off with Ryan Woodrow getting right to the back bumper, though. I think he slid just quite a little bit into the corner entry there to avoid running into the back of Woodrow. Robinson does want to get by, that is for sure. He's doing his absolute best. And I don't blame him. Riero has absolutely checked out. He has a... actually, let's take a look. Only about 400 iRating higher than Woodrow, so it must be both a lot of practice and setup, too. So this is helping out Riero a lot in the sense of pretty much how his iRating is doing. And we'll see, does Adam Robinson have a chance to improve his iRating? By default, yes, he is in third place. There's always just that little bit more when you have one more position ahead of you that you know you can't get. He peeks to the inside halfway, but he's holding off. I'm pretty sure Robinson is. He's trying to think when to go for it. And I'm not surprised that he is deciding to wait just a little bit, because it's quite pointless to try and pass somebody with 12 minutes left when they'll just immediately pass you right back. Speaking of passes for position, we might have one here for 6th place momentarily. Saavedra has caught up with Almeida, and the pass has, well, a crash actually has occurred in the final sector between the 14 and the 21. Not quite sure what happened here. We'll ride on board with Rojo. It's also Michael Harrington that was involved in some way. Oh, gets loose. Oh, they both spin in the same section and split through the middle. Was that... I think that was Rojo. I think it was a lap car that split through the section, but that is definitely something that I have not seen before, is a dual spin in the same section. Both Michael Harrington and Rojo both spinning the exact same way. That's the 7 of Sam Benson going by. He's 2 laps down. Wow. Well, that definitely puts into perspective of those times where you slide up to the outside wall and you follow the car into the outside wall. That's you're following a car that's ahead of you, and if they slide into the outside wall, you do that exact same thing. Well, it's some decide to call it a sympathy spin. That is for sure. Something that I have learned as well is that, well, Adam Robinson has decided that he has stopped waiting, and he has decided to just go for 2nd place, move Robinson up to P2 on the scoring tower. The question is, can he run away from Ryan Woodrow? That's the question. Woodrow decides immediately, no, he cannot, because he is right against that back bumper. A bit of a battle occurring as well for the 11th place position. Oliveira, or is it Oliveira or is it Oliveira? That's I think it's Oliveira. Oh, regardless, Paulo has moved his way up to the 13th place position. He has passed Michael Harrington going into the 2nd to last chicane. And, well, we're a little bit late to this, but we'll go through and see where everyone is at and has been. Not much to say for, oh, hang on a second. I think Rosbeck has actually gotten past Miranda. I think Miranda had a little bit of an off. But he is okay. He's still going forward. Riero started first. Currently running first in car number 1. And that's about it. He's just been checked out of this entire race so far. Adam Robinson has finally gotten by Ryan Woodrow But Woodrow, however, wants to get that second place back. I'm pretty sure the battle is definitely not over quite yet. Cody Cosford, an 8-position gain for that number 6 machine. An absolutely great job by Cosford. And Azuka lost a couple positions, but still running in the top 5, which is still very admirable. Saavedra is currently sitting in the 6th place position, a couple positions down, but again, not too bad. Almeida, I believe it's Almeida. Xavier Almeida sits in the 7th place position. Granted, it's only, quote-unquote, 1-position game, but still holding strong in that 7th place spot. 8th place is Nathan Bowden. Also lost a couple positions, but still running strong. Dmitry Shavrin sits in the 9th place position, with Tamaz Roztek in 10th place, 3 positions up from where he had started. Mattia Morandi sits 11th place, a few positions gained. Matteo Maschioltra starts 7th, currently running 12th, struggling a little bit for this split in particular, not going too well, but again, still holding strong. This is Paulo Oliveira. For some reason, his name is not popping up, but he does sit in the 13th place position. Michael Harrington sits 14th after effectively starting in what's effectively last place, just not making a qualifying lap. Mario Roman Rojo, potentially, sits in 15th. Again, also struggling, but still continuing to finish out this event. Kevin Feibig sits in 16th. Again, granted, some of these drivers in the back, they may not have the pace that they want, but that doesn't mean they should just stop racing. So a lot of props to these drivers for still finishing. Same goes for Umberto Principi, who sits in 17th, and Sam Benson, who sits in 18th, whose name just doesn't exist on our timing thing for whatever reason. I'll have to look into that at some point. Regardless, the battle for second place might be on once again, because Adam Robinson got passed. But he's going to go by Ryan Woodrow here going into the final chicane. Well, maybe not. I believe by that look he decided to back out rather than stay side by side throughout the entire section. I do want to take a look and see how, onto the curves a little bit, unsettling under braking, maybe. I'll wait a little bit, but I do want to see how Woodrow had gotten past Robinson. So that happened as we were going through the field. Seeing where everybody is, where everybody was, and just generally checking up on their day and how they were doing. So we might have a little bit of a chance here. It must have been quite a while ago, so we're still just running it back. There we go. So Woodrow had peeked down to the right-hand side into the first chicane. They actually did make a little bit of contact, but both of them just barely stayed on the track. Well, almost. If you count the curb as a track for Woodrow, yeah, that's a legal pass. As we have trouble with Shavrin, just as we came back. Well, back to the replay graphic, I guess. So he made a little bit of contact. What happened here? Shavrin in the 15. Oh, dear. Oh, that's the number 5, rather. I believe he just decided to pull straight off. He does keep going. I'll take a look on board. There's not enough brake. Oh, just not paying attention, just forgetting the braking zone, I believe. And that's what's him pulling off and letting the 16 by as a little bit of an apology. Which that's the best you can do. The contact's already happened. The least you could do, or the least someone could do, and which is also fantastic sportsmanship, is just let the driver go. All right. Well, let's not forget that time does exist, and that if it's under the completed time. If the driver's not going to make it to the start-finish line time, it will be an automatic checkered flag. With that said, 4 minutes left now. Last lap time was a 2 minute 11, basically 2 minutes 12 seconds by Riero. So I believe effectively this might be the final lap. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll keep a close eye on it regardless. It should be the second to last lap, actually, if anything. That is what ATV was predicting as well, lap 13 to 14. But we know what happened with that last time, so we will take a very, very close look and see where Riero ends up. But it should be fine. Only if they cross the start-finish line with under that amount remaining, then we should be worried. Somebody who should be worried as well is, of course, Woodrow. And probably Robinson, because his time is starting to run out. Granted, he is still on the podium, which isn't bad. It's just that tantalizing P2 just sitting quite literally directly in front of him with car number 2, no less. Rostech into pit road, not sure as to why, if it's damage or just a pass-through. But regardless, the spell for second place is still, as always, right on the edge of spilling over, if anything. Side by side. There goes Adam Robinson to the right-hand side. But potentially could mean that, no, this is going to be the upcoming lap, the final lap. Robinson has decided it is time to go. Now, let's see what happens here. Alejandro Riero, with under 2 minutes left, he has time to make it to the start-finish line, so it should not be an automatic checkered flag. If it is, I'll actually be very surprised. All signs are pointing towards what is effectively the white flag lap this time by for Alejandro Riero. Woodrow was going to make a move into the final chicane, but he decides against it, not showing checkered. So this is indeed the final lap. There it goes. So final lap has officially been thrown. And Robinson is going to have to be on the absolute defensive. And in fact, he's going to let Woodrow go by the looks of it. I don't think he's going to fight too hard. We'll see as they make contact. Woodrow slides. Does he hold on to it? No, he does not. He goes around. That moves Cosford to third. And Mazuka to fourth. Woodrow falls back to fifth place. Take a look at that at the conclusion of the event, but that pretty much settles all the battles as Robinson was almost into the gravel there. Riero still sits in the first place position. That shows that anything can and indeed will happen. Of course, immediate hindsight for Woodrow, he might have just gotten on the curbs too much and might have upset the car. Robinson definitely did give him all the possible space, that is for sure. But regardless, Alejandro Riero with a very, very fantastic run. Absolutely checked out throughout the entire course of this event. That's a strong drive himself. Strong step under his car by the looks of it. And when you have those two combined, well, you have something like this. A 6.5 second lead over second place. And of course, when you get that 6.5 second lead, sometimes you could just relax a little bit, but that has pretty much been anything but what Riero had been doing throughout this entire event. So, out of the almost final set of corners, into the final chicane, this time by the start-finish line, the checkered flag is being shown for the number one machine, and the appropriately numbered number one machine, Alejandro Riero, wins at Imola. Second place, here comes Adam Robinson. Finally getting the P2 at the end of it. Cody Cosford, third. Fourth place, is going to be Antonio Amazuka, 5th place, Ryan Woodrow with Saavedra just behind. Pretty much everybody else will be finishing up. As, oh no, the 20 celebrating too early just crosses the line. That's why you wait until after the checkered flag to start doing your celebrations, unless he did get loose, which could have been the case. That was a very close call with the rumble strip, but Morandi does finish in 9th. Chauvin will round out the 11th place position by the look of it. As drivers do continue to finish. In fact, this might be the closest battle we have right now coming to the start-finish line for 14th. It is Rojo and Rose Tech. This is for 14th, but it's still a battle for position nonetheless. Can Rose Tech make a final dive into the final chicane? Does he decide to be aggressive? Hard on the brakes, at least directly behind, but not able to make a move. The defense is too strong, and across the start-finish line they go. 14th and 15th. A very close battle, though, by the end. As Sam Benson also be finishing up, going around the circuit here. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he did get the checkered already. Kevin Feibig will also be finishing up his run as well. Well, what a event here at Imola. Fantastic job by everybody here. And actually, before I forget, we will take a look and see what exactly had happened between Woodrow as well as Adam Robinson there just on the final lap. Of course, coming into it a little bit late, so we'll see if we can rewind this, sadly in real time, but better than nothing. I'll see what we can get here from the one of the TV angles here. Looks like it's just, again, it's just one of those racing deals, genuinely by the looks of it. Let's see, let's look at this in slow motion as well. Looks like, no, yeah, it's just a racing deal. Woodrow was just a little bit late to turning in compared to Robinson. Robinson, I'm pretty sure, wanted to squeeze just a little bit, so definitely just a racing deal. That is for sure. No harm, no foul there. Sometimes that does happen. I'll take a look in real time. Later on the brakes was Woodrow. I think he got unsettled too. Let's look at the wheel. Oh yeah, he did. He got unsettled under braking. That's what happened. Trying to outbrake Robinson led to him unsettling the car under braking there, and that does happen. That's just genuinely really unfortunate. So he almost had it, and like I said, I was right with the racing deal. I thought it was just a little bit with the with expecting the driver to take the apex a little bit more, but turns out it was just being unsettled under braking, and then that caused Woodrow to quote-unquote drift into Robinson as Robinson was turning in. So that usually happens sometimes, especially if you try and brake so hard to the point that, well, the car doesn't enjoy it. Somebody who does enjoy something, though, is Riero with his, and I am not kidding here, 7.1 gap, 7.1 second gap to was effectively the rest of the grid. That is absolutely incredible. Great job by Riero. Robinson finished in second place. Cody Cosford snuck his way up to the third place position. Amazuka finished in fourth. Woodrow fell back to fifth. Still a good recovery drive. As much as a recovery can be, it's just more damage limitation at some points as well. But still finished in fifth, and in a sense held off Fernando Saavedra, who finished in sixth. Nathan Bowden, seventh. Matteo Monardi finished in eighth. Matteo Maschiotra finished in ninth, and Dimitri Chauvin finished in 10th place position. And then effectively the rest of the grid, as Todd Novosaw did not start the race. Paulo Oliveira finished in 11th. Xavier Almeida finished in 12th. 13th is Michael Harrington. 14th is Mario Romanrojo. Tamaz Rostek finished in 15th. 16th is Kevin Feibig. And then the rest of the drivers a lap or more down. Umberto Principi, Sam Benson, Ronald Holshoff, and Iak Ryben, who I don't believe also did not start the race. Might have gridded, but might have had some issues of some sort. So Todd Nosad rounds out in the 21st position, also did not start the event as well. But wow, what an event, what a race. That was very much enjoyable. Next week is a track that I'm currently forgetting because sadly I don't have the schedule in front of me. Mid-Ohio. So that's gonna be an actually intriguing layout. I don't believe I've ever seen the MX-5s run at Mid-Ohio. So that's gonna be a very fun track to see what these cars handle. A lot of elevation changes especially, so these cars will definitely be getting a little bit upset with handling those drivers. We'll have to work on their setups for then if they haven't started already at least. But that does it for this week's edition of the Advanced Mazda MX-5 Cup Series on the iRacing service. As always, we will see you next week, provided real-life things don't suddenly come out. Just double-checking the schedule, and no, yeah, should be fine. All right, cool. So unless real-life things suddenly crop up once again next Friday, we'll be back at the same time, same place, same everything, except the track. The track will definitely be different. We will see you all next week, hopefully, potentially, in Mid-Ohio.